Here at TWRS, we're always here to help our squad when they need a little push in the right direction. That's just who we are. We're a beautifully diverse group of goofballs dedicated to driving fake race cars as fast as possible. And we continue to push each other to the front using the power of nonsense. We have one of the strongest NASCAR programs on the service, and you can access it all for $24.99 a month. And we just released individual subscriptions for $14.99 a month for each NASCAR vehicle. We also just added a Rallycross program, and our IndyCar program is taking off as well. So come join the weird side. We have speed and cookies. Cookies are not included in some locations.
Live from Virginia, welcome race fans one and all back to Green Flight TV, where this afternoon we get set to duke it out once again for Sunday night prime time. Welcome to the Richmond Raceway, to the ASRL Xfinity Series presented by Purple Haze Autosport. My name is Nolan Rampel alongside Scott Rankin, and we are welcoming you to the show. Scott, round number 3 of the championship. This racing series continuing to pick up in excitement. 19 cars are actively qualifying and ready to rumble around this 3/4 of a mile short track.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be an interesting one here tonight. I mean, big opportunity for things to go very, very right, but a huge opportunity for things to go very, very wrong. One of the key factors to this league is the minimization of the amount of tires you've got open to you. Drivers are going to have to manage their tires in a big way. And you know what that means, Nolan? It actually starts in the rear end of the next-gen chassis when we get to Richmond. It is a little unsettled on the rear. Be interesting to see how the drivers plan to keep that thing underneath them on the long run.
Of course, racing action at the action track. Well, they call it the action track for a reason, don't they? It's one of those races, tends to be a bit of a slugfest no matter what time of the day it is when we come here. The most unique part about this racetrack is the placement of the start-finish line, not in the center of the D-Oval like it so often is most other tracks that are profiled in this manner. Instead, this one is sitting just a little bit before, which makes that entry to turn 3 oh so important.
Yeah, if you want to get a pass done, you're sort of going to get it mostly done by the entry to 3. The drive off on the run of the flag, not as important. Depends on how we set ourselves up on the long run. And I'm gonna already go ahead and issue my first apology of the night here, Nolan. I said next-gen chassis, I meant Xfinity cars. They're loose everywhere, though, so the advice is still the same.
Oh, of course they are. That's what makes these cars so fun to drive. When you look at the point standings, where Max Schlosser currently stands on the top of the boards with the Interstellar SRV number 400 car. Defending champion Brody Gunter, though, just 5 points off the mark, and then already 15 back is Joshua Rutherford. Work in progress racing number 64, picking up a solid 3rd place early in this one. Of course, Hankey sits in 4th with Austin Call back in the number 5 spot for Merco Motorsports. And overall, you can already see some pretty big separation for the top of the point standings, even down to the edge of the top 10.
Yeah, and that's just come from a little bit of instability, you know, and inconsistency from a few of those drivers. A few of those drivers have been in and out as well. The big key, though, I think, and something that I'm really, really enjoying here, Nolan, is the increased grid size that we've seen this season. It's been a lot of growth for this league, and again, like I said, a lot of opportunity. Xfinity Series cars, you know, the instability in the car is a lot more natural through the wheel. The car drives a lot more natural through the wheel, and I think we're seeing that from the drivers. They're going, hey, you know, we actually prefer this. It's a better way to go racing. So, you know, return to stronger numbers is really, really strong, but the big key is going to be who can hang on to it here tonight. This is one of those tracks that's going to test. We're talking about consistency. This is one of those tracks that will test that consistency. Got to plan to have a bad night at Richmond. You don't plan to have a good night at Richmond.
230 laps around this place as well. That is a true test endurance, and that is pretty true with a lot of other races we have this season, right? I mean, you look at the 170 lapper that we did in Charlotte just yesterday. They wanted to plan these races out, so they'd be roughly 2 hours apiece on time. Once you factor in a caution or two, Daytona came right down to the wire. We started the final lap under caution. just as we were crossing over the 1 minute to go threshold. Charlotte, we had a bit of time to spare, about 1 or 2 cautions worth of time to spare exactly in that race. But Richmond, I think this is one of the first tracks where we could realistically run into that time limit pretty quickly if this goes wrong early on.
Yeah, I was actually calling a race from Richmond last week, and it did. It settled out. We had a really nice long run at one point, and then all of a sudden back to back cautions, and that's pretty much the nature of this place as well. Is that everyone sort of starts to figure themselves out early on. You might have an initial caution, cold tires sometimes can really trigger that, but then you're going to run into a little bit of a longer run. By the way, on fuel, I was doing some research and talking to a few of the drivers. We're expecting somewhere around the 65 to 71 laps. I was actually talking to Josh Heagy about it, and he said sort of, I've done 16 laps at the moment. My timing's saying that I've got 55 to go, so it's going to be around that 70 to 71 marker. But when they initially jumped in the car at 64, so as the tires sort of wear, that fuel burn down a little bit. They could go a little bit further beyond that, and 70, 140, 210. There's 20 laps there that you've got to make up somewhere. So I'm looking for a caution that runs us a little bit longer somewhere we can find that 20 laps.
And with that, we got our starting grid lined up and ready to rumble. So for the 19, make that now 20-car field. This is how they line on up for round number 3 of the ASRL Xfinity Series. Started on pole position this afternoon is Austin Call alongside Brody Gunter. Joshua Higgins sits back in 3rd with Rick Thompson in 4th. Carson George starts in 5th. Nate Morris is in 6th. Paul Ellison is in 7th with Matt Williamson, Matthew Croak, and Jake Erickson closing out the top 10.
Yeah, outside the 10, though, it's going to be Alex Howland from Jarrell Williams, Joshua Rutherford, Corey Rutherford. Out there in 13th and 14th, they line up alongside of each other. Renan Garcia, Travis Fleming, Casey Campbell, Connor Dudek, one of the newer drivers of the series, Tommy Cook, and Fred Thompson, the Speed Mafia machine, to round out the field.
So 20 cars are lined up and ready to do battle this afternoon. In the background, you had seen one of these cars back here. I believe it was Tommy Cook. Yeah, there he is. He got a little bit excited. What do you think of this? This is, I wouldn't say he's having a bit of fun with it, but it almost looks like he's having hardware issues.
Well, I tell you what, that'll be a workout behind the steering wheel. The big thing that's got to me...
That's got to be a hardware issue, right? Like wheel calibration?
That's calibration. I was thinking exactly the same thing. Look, now he's not turning the wheel anywhere near as quick. You see how that was a lot more smooth there when he took another swing at it? So the big thing when I'm looking at that is that I think his wheel's calibrated to a really, really short range, which means that the entire wheel travel's covered off by a lot, which means that basically when you calibrate that wheel to a shorter range, it means that every mil that you're turning that steering wheel over a degree does more degrees in the car, because basically you're taking a small, narrow range from your sim and expanding it out to the car's full range, is basically how that works. So it gets expanded out. So yeah, there's something wrong. There is something wrong.
Oh, definitely. I mean, it almost looks like he's running on a keyboard. Maybe a controller, I would say, but no, I doubt it's either one of those. I mean, it looks like he's trying to work with it.
I was going to say controller. It looks a lot more like a controller to me.
But then that wouldn't make sense with the calibration, right? I think you're right. I think his wheel's kind of stuck on that shorter range. For reference, most steering wheels nowadays, they'll offer up to 900 degrees of rotation. Now, that is 900 degrees from as far left to as far right as it can go. So if you're looking at 360 degrees of rotation, it can turn 180 in either direction from center steering. I think you might be on potentially the 180 mark or even lower.
I would go somewhere around the 360, because 180 only gives you 90 degrees. It gives you 90 degrees left and 90 degrees right. So I reckon you're probably right about 360, and then it's expanding it out. I think this car's got like, what, 2.5 wheel rotations in it? So it's basically taking one full wheel rotation and expanding it out to 2.5. So it's getting quite aggressive with how it shakes that out as well. So, but yeah. I was just thinking, it looks, just with how quick he's swinging it left to right, it actually looks a lot more like a controller. It's stabilized now. Okay, he just said this is the start and park from him so he can grab points.
That makes a lot of sense. I would not want to race on a wheel like that throughout the entirety.
In which case, I was going to say it looks like a controller. I would say if he's starting parking, he's on a controller. Something's happened with his wheel. Well, either way, here they go.
Flying in the air, the field takes off downwards. Turn of 1, we are going from the action track as Brody Gunter leads the way into the opening corner along with Austin Call.
a look at the amount of track that they're using all the way up. As the marbles get laid down, and you see some of these tires where that groove is going to narrow because you touch those marbles. Nolan, man, I've been seeing professional level supercars drivers struggle with the updates to the marbles, so I'm expecting to see the same from some of these guys as well.
Working it down in the turn numbers 1 and 2. It'll be Gunter to lead the way at the end of lap number 1 this afternoon. Everyone else in lockstep, just a little ways behind. 3 wide off the corner, contact, and around going Casey Campbell. Heavy hit into the inside wall, and that's going to be a day over for him early.
Yeah, there's no way you recover from that. That is day done. That's got the chance to pop that engine, so.
Brody Gunter leads the way at the end of lap number 1. Let's take a look at what happened here to Casey Campbell. And, well, I think it's kind of safe to say what happened here, right? I mean, that was obviously just a self-spin. They were 3 wide in front. Might have been overreacting to the Garcia and Rutherford contact just in front of him.
Yep. But you're still got to maintain control of your car. And the big thing is lifting early. He's left at the last possible moment to react to that one, and that's why he's ended up in the barrier.
And, well, with that puts us under the caution flag for the first time this afternoon. Let's get a ride on board with Campbell here.
So it narrows. You just see the cars on the outside. The big thing about Richmond, particularly off turn 2, is that the track actually narrows up. It's quite wide through the middle of 1. And then as you get into 2 and right off the exit of 2, the groove out, the actual racing surface narrows significantly. So what's going on there is effectively for him, he's thought, I've got a fair bit more room to work with, and then the track just sort of narrows, and particularly that car that was in the middle of that sandwich as well. That's why they left a little bit more room to their outside, and yeah, the surface just narrowed. Not much you can really do.
Still first yellow flag of the night. Casey Campbell is in the first car to pit road, and Tommy Cook, by the way, now up to 15th, and I reckon Cook's thinking, well, as long as I'm here, may as well. I think the fact, though, that a few cars came down pit road is scared, but he's going to come down the pits here himself.
This will probably be the end of the race for him, but points on the board, that's the big key.
Well, I mean, end of the day, you could, in theory, stay out, try to see if anybody else is going to drop out of this race early on, but who knows? Yeah, he's coming back out. He's taking my thought, right? I mean, you have one car that's already out on lap 1. You may as well see if anything else happens.
Yeah, who knows?
Gunter still leads the way right now, 76 degrees Fahrenheit on the racing surface. It's a very cold track out there, and that leads to some of these loose conditions that we were kind of alluding to before this race. I mean, these cars, very loose race cars, hard to pass them, especially at a racetrack like this, and those conditions are not going to make it any easier.
Yep, and you can see the surface as well. There's not a ton of rubber laid down right now. That'll progress as the night wears on. Groove will build in. No marbles laid down as well. Means that there's a heck of a lot of opportunity for this track to change. And it's also quite early in the evening as well, so it's going to get darker. A little bit less heat in that racetrack. It'll cool off, so the way the car is driving is going to change across the duration here tonight. And I think the big thing is going to be not just the temperature, but the grip that gets laid down, and particularly those marbles building up in the outside lane.
Race truck is off. We enter the Geico restart zone. Green flag is in the air as the field hightails it down towards turn number 1. Brody Gunter chose the outside for the restart. Got a massive launch at the top shelf. I'm not surprised with the outside, considering he secured the lead from second on the initial start. So if you got the lead, why not go up top where you're strong?
Yep, certainly backing it in. And now it'll be for the guys in the middle of the pack just to sort of figure out this early run and see if we can't settle into a long run here. Somebody a little bit loose off the bottom. I thought it was Rene Garcia off of turn 3 and 4. So he's looking for any advantage he possibly can. Everyone will be looking. You know, early run, great opportunity to get some passes done. Then you got to settle into your work.
The road fights on between Matthew Croker and Nate Morrison. Looking like that's going to settle itself out. Meanwhile, just behind them, Corey Rutherford to the inside of the 45 inch of Jake Erickson. As Erickson slips up from the inside, and Corey Rutherford going to secure another good drive as we rocket down the road into turn number 1, looking for the outside line now on Connor Dudek. No dice, though, in the middle of 2.
Boy. Yeah, big slide, though, for Jake Erickson. as he come off, nearly allowed Josh Rutherford to get to his inside. A few cars that did come down pit lane under that caution. One of them was Corey Rutherford. Now, the big ticket for those guys, Nolan, is that they've probably ticked off a good 5-6 laps worth of the fuel that they need to save. Remember that critical number? We got green in the end here. Their splash at the end will be minor. They're a shot of saving it. It is a heck of a lot of saving, but if we've got a lot of long runs here, there is an opportunity to save it.
A moment here for Rick Thompson as a little bit of a slip up as he kind of grazed the outside wall when he blinked out for just that little moment. And he is right now battling up with Carson George as well for that 4th place position. So George doing a good job on trying to hold station while the Speed Mafia number 76 is really pounding him, and around he goes.
Yeah, and the 85 just had no traction off the corner. Guy behind him got into him. Not much he could have done there. And again, that's another caution that brings us closer to that fuel window.
As well as that time window as well. 2 cautions in relatively quick succession here in this one.
Couple cautions back to back here, so, you know, time for them to settle down. And the big thing is, we haven't had enough running here to sort of figure out the racing order either as yet, Nolan, as well. So, you know, it's realistically, these drivers have still got to figure out what running looks like. What do they need from their race cars? Where are they trying to put themselves? What do they want to do in terms of strategy? What do they want to do in terms of fuel? So, you know, the big thing is there's not enough running right now to get some numbers, get some feeling out of that car and that track progression. So they've got to think about what they want to do here. And you're actually seeing the bulk of the field come down pit lane. There's the rotation from the 85 too.
A lot of cars are in, less than 10 are staying out. Iggy, Morris, Williams, Rutherford, Cook, and Fred Thompson are all staying out on the racing circuit, while everyone else, for what is now 8th place on back, comes down to pit road for fuel-only stops.
Yeah, and remember what I said, that critical number is about 20 laps, so we're quite close to that, and you can absolutely save it. So this is about just setting yourself up. The difficulty now is that for those guys, they this will be a replay, let's tell us just lack of traction off the exit of the corner. He just couldn't get the throttle. The rear end of that car was too unstable.
Yeah, Rick Thompson gave him a bit of a nudge to kind of help him around as well in the process.
Yeah, so I was actually just talking to Josh Eager before this race as well about internet and a few other bits and pieces. He's working on it. It's come better. He says the biggest issue for him is that during practice, there's no issues with the car. There's no issues with the internet. There's no issues with the performance of anything. Come race time, all of a sudden, everything starts going wrong. So it's really difficult for him to monitor and manage. But effectively, his approach to it is the drivers around him just communicate. That's it. If there is issues, no worries. That's fine. It's you know, it is what it is. But just communicate. Keep me in the loop of what's going on. And then I can do the very best I possibly can. And about respect as well. He said, you know, I'm not going to get in people's way when I've got a car that they can't see. So.
Still not even at the lap 20 mark in this one, as the iRacing base truck turns its lights out. Iggy alongside Jarrell Williams. Williams right now up 10 on the day, so is Joshua Rutherford just behind. Tommy Cook took 4 tires. Rick Thompson was in the pits for damage repairs when he caught the outside wall off of 2 a couple laps into our green flag run. And we are ready to rumble once again.
It's interesting. That's a touch early to take tires too, so that'll be a mistake. So either way, we've got to settle ourselves down for a restart. He's going to be the control car.
Green flag back in the air, this time by, as everyone slices and dices down to the turn numbers 1 and 2. Up the middle goes Gunter to take 2.
Yep, and now he's going to try and pick off a couple. Austin Cole's going to try and lock himself in. The difficulty for these guys now is they've got to pick which lane's actually the fast lane. The bulk of the field came there, so there's only a couple cars up here. Robert Nelly. Joshua Rutherford was all out of shape right there.
Up the track in turn 2. Now alongside with Paul Ellison on the inside line. Rene Garcia gets the nose in as well. And right now, Josh Rutherford being freight trained up top. Can't get down to the bottom side. I imagine Matthew Croak is going to try to stuff his nose in the middle of this, unless Rutherford can find some momentum to fight off Garcia down to the inside and then take that line back with force. It'll be a hard ask, though.
Just saw Jarrell Williams slap the outside barrier a couple times as he come off of turn 2. The car was quite out of shape and going in the barrier a couple times. Gunter's already got his way back up the P2. Looking set for a very long run at the moment. So we'll just be conserving everything he's possibly got. And Austin Cole's now going to look to pick off the inside of Matt Williamson and get that job done as well.
Oh, slides! Oh, gets in and turns Williamson! Around goes 199. Garcia just barely avoids him.
Great save from all involved. My word. Well, about that long run, Nolan, I don't think we're going to get it.
And again, how many yellows do we need before we hit that point? I want to point out, by the way, Williamson didn't even lose the top 10 with this.
Check this save out. A touch of Echo to bring them in a little bit in together, but they were tight enough that they were probably going to bang panels anyway. Oh, Garcia just got it. He's okay. You know what? Don't know how to look at another look at his car. He's okay. He'll be fine. Oh.
Tell you what, that was shaken up to be a very, very similar incident to what we saw around lap 18 at the Charlotte Motor Speedway 1 week ago. And in fact, Garcia was caught up in that wreck as well. He was the one that got drilled, in fact.
Yeah, so sometimes you just can't get lucky, right? Garcia's actually going to come back down the pit lane. This will be fuel only. Check the car over, make sure everything's okay. And see how he's going, set himself up. There'll probably be a little bit of damage repairs. But the big thing is now we've ticked that lap 20 marker. The problem being we've had so many cautions back to back to back. You know, we are going to go time certain. We are 16 minutes into this race. We've run 23 laps at this point in time as well. So based upon that marker, we're going to get 80 laps. We're going to get just shy of 160 laps in at this marker. So that'll be 70 short. So that will factor in the fuel.
And is that including, is that just factored into the current trend going forward, or is that if we go green from here?
That's just taking what we're current trends, current times. Yeah.
Fair enough. Well, may as well give a shout out here to the folks that keep the lights on here for the Speed Cup Series. Of course, got to thank CJR Graphics and Eminent Designs, and of course, want to race open, but not sure if your set was up to snuff. Want to race something made by someone who knows their stuff, and of course, do you want to know why we are asking these random questions in a rhyming fashion like a poetry buff? Well, check out TWRsetups.com. Our setups are meticulously crafted and personally run by their top-tier drivers to assure that you get the best there is. So don't delay. Join the wild side of setup shops today.
And update from Tommy Cook, by the way. He is on a controller. So there you go. That solves that question.
Maybe having some fun with it then. He is on the racetrack, again, I want to point out. And hey, I mean, Nate Morris eliminated himself. He's just been right. I kind of like what he's doing, right? He's not getting in the way. He's just riding at the back. And the only overtakes he's made are on drivers that aren't in this race anymore. By the way, Nate Morris, I am noticing, is no longer on the racetrack. What's happened to Morris?
He's just dropped out of the Servitude packet loss, so he's just dropped.
Oh boy. Well, we'll get set to see the green flag once more, this time by Joshua Geeky. Jumps on the loud pedal. It's a massive jump, not allowing Brody Gunter any chance on getting the outside run going like he did on the initial start.
Yep, so he's going to initially get away nice and easily, but now it'll be Gunter's job to try and run him back down again. Again, keep thinking about the long run. at the moment. A lot of track position. Joshua Higgins opted to maintain a bunch of track position, and that's quite an interesting decision when you start sitting and thinking about the numbers that we were just talking about in terms of time certainty. You're right, you said it at the top of the show. We're going to go time certain. First time of the season, it's probably going to be tonight.
It almost happened at Daytona. We were well clear of it at Charlotte, and well, for a short track race this season, it's always going to be a pretty safe culprit of a possibility of that. Round the outside goes the 24 of Jarrell Williams. Paul Ellison is situated down low. And so the rest of the field looking to make some solid moves this afternoon. You see Carson George trying to get up to the back of Alex Howland.
Yeah, just about there. Remember, he's gone for a rotation in one of the rear of the field, so he's driving his way back through as well. So in the meantime, again, something Corey Rutherford actually said in the field under that most recent caution was, hey, 3 cautions before 30 laps. Think about the long run, guys. Just think about what you're doing with the race car. And it's a tricky car to drive around here tonight.
I do think that is worth noting, right? I mean, you think, yeah, 30 laps into a race, but then you put that into perspective. That is now 197 laps to go. It's not a small number by any stretch of the means.
No, that's the big key, is we've got to get to the back end of the race. So, yeah, first and foremost, if we run laps, we're running 22-second laps at the moment, so 3 laps is 1 minute and 6 seconds. Every 30 laps is going to be, what's that? 10, 11 minutes? So you're effectively going to run 30 laps in 11 minutes. And we're already 20 minutes into this session. So if we go green from here, we are going to be 30, 90, 9 times that, 9 times 3 is 270. So we still got time to run it all in. But every single caution, the laps are running out at about double the lap speed. So Nate Morris comes to pit lane for something. No, that's Nate Morris, sorry, rejoining the track after being out of the race. So effectively, every single lap that we drive on a caution, we lose a lap in terms of what we can drive, just because that's what the timings are like. So
right now, you see a good chunk of this field single file. Nobody looking to go double just yet, but that doesn't stop drivers from trying to make moves. You saw Travis Fleming almost make a move on Jake Erickson there to turn 1. Certainly thought about it. We do have one driver. Oh boy, Matthew Krogh way down on the inside of the racetrack.
I'm going to have to go and have a look at what's going on there for him to end up where he did. So.
And there you see Rick Thompson just completed the pass on Alex Howland. Carson George trying to follow through. Couldn't get the momentum, though, off of 2. So George remains in line. Howland, meanwhile, still running strong in that number 2 Ford Mustang as he tracks low into turn 1. Up the road, Corey Rutherford starting to make some ground on Matthew Krogh, and now going to try for a second time to open up a door on the inside.
Yeah, so just went back and had a quick look. It was instability coming down the racetrack in the braking zone, heading into 3. The Krogh that saw him towards the bottom of the racetrack. So, excuse me, he'll try and settle himself back down. And any little slide like that, you wear on the rear tires, but you definitely want some attitude in the car because otherwise the thing doesn't turn. So it's about learning to drive it a touch loose. A few issues down the racetrack as well. I think it might be Nate Morris just trying to give up a couple spots. No, it's Fred Thompson's got a lap down, so he's just trying to yield and get out of everyone's way.
No surprise on that one. The number 46 of Fred Thompson has not had too much pace so far tonight. No damage on that race car. I just think Richmond Raceway isn't really agreeing with the Speed Mafia number 46, so hence why we see the Kill Devils machine started to slip down the field. Oh, heads up! Almost collected Matt Williamson there.
Yeah, so Williamson and Tommy Cook will cut their way through. Again, drivers at the rear of the field just trying to survive, keep their man alive. You know, Thompson can grab lucky dogs here and there, keep himself back towards the lead lap. The big thing is he's driving the car straight, and There could be issues, but there's not. And he's staying out of everyone's way, so he's doing all he possibly can to do the right thing.
Brody Gunter, meanwhile, closing in rapidly on Joshua Higgy up the road, and now looking for the inside as we fire our way down the front straightaway through the tribal and back down to turn 1.
Have a look at the track that he is using. He's using so much of turn 1. I do wonder if he's trying to save some rear tire by running that far up the racetrack. Look at the slide that they get on entry to 3 and 4 as well. So I reckon what he's trying to do is he's trying to drive it in deep and straight so that he's braking as much as he possibly can in a straight line. That was a mistake last lap. Okay, changes back to that bottom lane.
And now cuts to the inside again on Joshua Higgy. Brody Gunter starting to really make some big moves, and now side by side for the race lead through the tri-oval and back down into turn numbers 1 and 2. Had the inside for a moment. Higgy able to pull the outside though through the tri-oval, and that leaves once again single file down the back chute.
The big thing now, we've got that little bit of a run. Everyone's started to single file out. This is really the only battle that's going on out on track at the moment. Austin Cole took a little bit of time out of these lead 2 on that most recent laps, but not a huge deal. I again think that he's just thinking long run as well, so.
Joshua Higgy, meanwhile, looking for the inside of the racetrack, and no dice this time by. Little slip up from the bottom. Brody Gunter. Oh, just manages to get up there by that outside wall.
Ooh.
Ooh, a little flash there from the Sev machine. Gunter, though, catching more lap traffic. Fred Thompson being caught again. Something is going on with Fred Thompson after the match. He's being lapped for the second time in, like, what, 15 laps now?
Yeah, but he was a second.
Oh, and he's caught the leaders this time.
Oh,
and he's turned Gunter.
Oh, is he going to save it? He's going to save it. Brody Gunter will be okay here.
Oh, boy. That is going to cause some dramas among the...
No caution.
Yeah, I'm surprised there wasn't a caution for that. If I'm Gunter, I'd be livid. And, boy, I mean, we talk about lap traffic being predictable, and that was not it, Chief.
No, that was not it. Hold the lane. If you're going to be at the bottom, no problem. But you stay at the bottom. Don't move. Don't move top to bottom. Don't move bottom to top. And he's not even at the top. And that's what they're predicting there, is they're predicting him to be up and by the fence. If you want to be at the bottom when you're coming around 3 and 4, that means you're going to be at the bottom on 1 and 2. He just crosses the road here.
He was out of the throttle as well. He was only running at half throttle here. I think he was trying to like lift to let them through.
It's kicked on in a big way, and I think it's the next pack of cars that have caught Fred as well.
Brody Gunter around and back into the inside wall. Connor
But that was
Dudek.
caused by checkups up ahead, so it was somebody else that had caught him.
Well, Dudek is the first driver that shows up on my event recorder, so we'll see if that's going to be the amount. Yeah, caught him. Caught the 50 car there, and around goes Thompson. Pretty hefty black there.
You gotta be out by the wall. He's just lurking. It's just lurking in the middle of the road. That's what the issue is. See how he's nowhere up near the wall? So the guys are just predicting him to be up and by the wall. Again, it comes down to, if you're going to run the outside, run the outside. If you're going to run the bottom, run the bottom.
And that might very well see Fred Thompson out of the race from here on down. Multiple cars at the pit road. But otherwise, we are looking to be once again back to racing action before too long. Austin Cole now leads the way as we get set to go to break after Connor Dudek gets in it with Rutherford on the back straightaway.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Set to return back to green flag racing this afternoon as the pack works their way down the back straightaway into turn numbers 3 and 4 as the rest of the field gets set to rumble to life. Green flag is in the air and we are back to more racing action this afternoon. Austin Call takes off out of Williamson, George, and Howland. And further down the field, Ellison, Thompson, and Moore all in lockstep as we go 2 by 2 by 2 by 2 all the way down the back straightaway into turn numbers 3 and 4. Now looking for 3 almost with Garcia. No dice. Gunter is going to take it 3 wide as he goes down the inside of Jake Erickson and Joshua Higgy. Picks up 2 positions. With all that, we're double 5 once again. Fights on for third, Scott.
Ooh, it's going to go around. I think it was, no, it's Rutherford. I definitely thought I saw the 5 car go around. Yeah, it was Corey Rutherford that went around.
And Thompson.
And they'll get it sorted back out at least. But, yeah, a little bit of bumping, a little bit of grinding.
Take a look.
This is just racing situation, I think.
Into turn 3. Oh, okay. Thompson kind of blinked out there. Garcia ran him over. I don't think any intent there.
No, yeah. And then Corey gets into it right here.
Yeah, just a little tag. And the hard mo foul, yeah. I'm not going to put the blame on Garcia for that. I think Tom's kind of blinked out at just the worst possible time, and just, you can't predict where he's going to be at that point.
No, that one's a racing deal for sure for me. My book. I mean, if he sort of knew where he was, he might have checked up a little bit more. But because he blinked out, he's like, okay, well, if you have a look at the entry as well for Rick, the entry was a lot higher into turn 3, and that's not normally the groove. And then he tried to turn down and run a normal racing groove, right? And that's when he blinked out. So nobody was making the adjustment for him to run in that line. Tell you what, that yellow flag comes out a fair bit tonight, Noel. What do you think? Bonnie's getting a little bit bored up there in the flag tower. He wants to wait that yellow flag, get some more action for himself.
Well, I mean, if he's given an excuse to, I know he's not going to complain.
He gets to see more racing action. There's more cars side by side when he throws that caution flag, so he won't be upset.
And he's in the best seat of the house to do that as well.
So I tell you what, I actually just went and did some research on Fred. I got some cool bits and pieces of info for you. Fred is 80 years old and racing. So you know what? hell yeah, man. He gets a lot more of a pass from me. And I believe he's learning racing as well at the same time. So, look, I mean, we all got to start somewhere. So, again, I might be a little bit critical of Fred and what's going on there. But at the end of the day, the guy's 80 years old and he's out there on a racetrack. I want to be him when I'm 80 years old.
I mean, fair enough. You got to have a hobby, right?
Yeah, 100%.
And for a lot of us guys, this is our hobby.
Well, the bigger thing is, we can't sit here and talk about it either, because like neither of us are 80 yet. But I guarantee you, if he's learning racing right now and learning throttle control, all those other bits and pieces, really difficult when you're 80.
Green flag is back in the air as the field hightails it down to turn numbers 1 and 2. 3 abreast goes Gunter, Higgy, and Williamson bobbles at the top of the shelf, almost gets into your defending champion, but he's going to catch it and only lose 2 spots instead of more.
Brady Gunter's still got a touch of damage to that race car, so it is not perfectly clean. His right front corner is split up, and center punched in the rear as well, just a touch. It's not too bad, it's actually quite good, given the amount of contact he actually had, but yeah. We're actually doing quite well. You know, the racing action's continuing on. Barring all the cautions, it's just little things, Nolan. And the thing is, it's short track racing, right? I'm actually not too unhappy with the way things are progressing here tonight.
Up the field, you can see Higgy trying to make a lunge down the inside of Alex Howell. He's going to do just that. Like you said, right? It's short track racing, and this short track, it's one of the quintessential short tracks. It's a racetrack that all NASCAR fans are aware of. A lot of NASCAR fans, I think, tend to have a very love-hate relationship with this place. You know, you either love it or you hate it. There doesn't tend to really be a lot of people just kind of in the middle. I personally love this place.
Yeah, I mean, it creates good racing, right? That's the big thing. It doesn't matter about whatever track it is. If the racing's good, I don't think anyone's going to complain too much. And for me, the racing's always good when you get it. The big thing about it is, one of the things that doesn't necessarily get talked about a lot is the lack of traction as you come out of 4. You just slide sometimes all the way to the fence. And so it's a real game of trying to keep the car underneath you, trying to get the power down, but at the same time look after those rear tires. It is not easy. It is not easy. You know, I reckon under that lap 50 caution that Josh Higgy strapped on some fresh tires, because he's driven his way through back to the front. I think everyone else is just sitting on a set at the moment. Oh, look at him drive off the 4.
Yeah, no kidding. A great drive off 4 there for Call. Higgy, though, to the inside. Oh, cuts the nose! Huge dive to the inside there for Joshua Higgy. Carson George picks up the second place spot, lunging around the outside line.
No, he has to leave him room. Yeah.
Tell you what, that was a good, solid drive for these two, and now some big moves being made as we work it down to the turn 1.
I reckon Carson George might have strapped on some fresh tires as well. Remember, Austin Cole hasn't pit since all the way back on lap 13. He's been opting and playing for track position, so if this is the green flag run, he is out of sequence. But what it has done for him is it meant that he's at the front. And he's out of, you know, he's just much further up ahead, out of the mess in behind. He can get good restarts, setting himself into the track and get down the road. So, you know, he's been leveraging that to just protect his car a little bit. And it has definitely worked till now.
Call kind of got a bit boxed in there and almost got turned by Carson George. George now trying to look down the inside for Nate Garcia. This is a dogfight and a half right here for spots inside the top 5 as everyone scrambling left, right, front, and center, trying to make moves. But boy, what a difficult challenge it is to try and get the run going. By the way, kind of checking in on the timing so far. Still got 1 hour and 20 minutes to go in racing action this afternoon. That is the timer until the end of this race. Now we'll see whether or not.
Just watching some cars at the back end of the pack just scattering everywhere. Jake Erickson just had a huge moment off of 3 and 4. And yeah, look, at the moment, Nolan, we're just past half an hour in. Let's run it back, say 5 laps or something. You know, give us and say we're running good pace. Per half an hour, you say you're running 60 laps. it'll be 120, it'll be 240. We can get home on those numbers, but there's no wiggle room. But if we can just get a good little run here, we'll be fine.
Racing currently lap 70 of 230 this afternoon. Matt Williamson, Josh Rutherford, Tommy Cook, all under a blanket. And I'll tell you what, I think Tommy Cook's kind of locked in with that controller relatively well here. I mean, he's running very, very smoothly, all things considered this afternoon. Yes, he's on the controller, so the movements aren't as smooth as they probably could be. He's not as fast as he normally is, but he's holding his own pretty well.
The biggest thing about racing on a controller is that you have no sort of force feedback. And why is that relevant? Well, drivers only get a couple of sensors in the race car, and actually he's going to back out of this one, so he just missed the line a little bit in the one guy to turn number one. And if he's on a controller, and potentially not at his home rig or not at his usual rig, if he's only on a single monitor as well, he'll have little to no visibility. And at the same time as trying to run on a controller, that's not easy. And there'll be a few different bits and pieces, but he's sort of going to watch around him, try and drive it off nice and accurately. Yeah, he's doing a great job, I think.
Boy.
Whoa. I just watched Nate Morris do a big old set on 1 and 2. There's contact off of 2. Nate Morris just got turned.
And caution flag number 6 on the night, and I think that makes this a timed race.
There is still room for us to go green and get home, but we're running out.
Or it's kind of already loose entering turn 1, washed up the track. Matt Williamson cut down to his inside.
But that hole disappeared.
Yeah. I can't really fault Williamson for that either, though. That's a racing deal. That's short track racing for you. See a hole, you got to go for
Nate sent it in. Well, the big thing is there's a couple issues I have with that. Nate's a lapped car, right? He's had issues. I'm not sitting here and saying he's not allowed to go racing, but what I'm saying to Nate is, okay, you're at 8 laps down. We've seen a ton of cautions today. How are you going to get yourself back onto the lead lap? And the way that he gets himself back on the lead lap is by not being in the caution. So how do you do that? Well, first and foremost, you're going to make sure that you don't go another lap down. You've got to run reasonable lap pace. Number 2, though, is when the caution does happen, you've got to be one of the first to check up and just find a hole. If you have to stop, you have to stop. Because you'll get the lucky dog no matter what, right? There's nobody else out there running at the moment that's off the lead lap. So the biggest thing that you can possibly do is just run safe and clean. He was fighting cars he didn't need to fight, is the way that played out.
Travis Fleming kind of got a bit caught up in that mess as well, as we take one more look back on this, as he went for the send all right. I mean, that's pretty cut and dry. And then, of course, Williamson just, you got to take a run somewhere when you got one, right? Especially on a lap car. And, well, there you go. That's all she wrote. Of course, this is race number 3 of the season. Other races this season include our second and final trip to the World Center of Racing. They are going to the NASCAR road course, Scott. That's going to be interesting with that front stretch chicane. And then
hell yeah, baby.
The old Atlanta Motor Speedway, 160 laps. Now, the 2 races I'm looking forward to the most are back-to-back. One of them because it's Auto Club. You and I both know Auto Club. We both love Auto Club. It's a great track, great racing. But the other one, though, I'm excited about because I've never called a race there anywhere. In the 6 years or so, 7 years I've been doing esports commentary, I have never once called a race at Irwindale Speedway.
Ooh.
250 laps. That'll be on March 23rd, the day before my birthday.
Happy birthday gift for you.
Yeah. Yeah, get a new experience in there.
Yeah, it's exactly like I said. I mean, the biggest thing for Nate Morris right there is that if I was in his shoes, I think the whole there's definitely a couple drivers that didn't pit right there, so he couldn't have earned his way a lap back with. The biggest thing right now for Nate is that you're not going to earn a wave by. The whole field is you got half the field on one strategy, half the field on another strategy. The only time you're going to get a wave by is if you get a really, really long run and everyone needs to pit for tires. It's just not going to happen. So now you've got to make sure you stay out of the cautions. That's the big thing. That's how you plan and get your lap back.
Green flag is in the air. Higgy takes off into turn number 1. Carson George runs second. Williams third, and double file all the way back through the field from there. As we rocket back down to turn number 3.
Oh,
Up
car to the grooves, Austin Cole. He just got elbowed in 3 and 4. He wasn't happy about something as well.
right now, side by side with Paul Ellison as they take it down to the turns 1 and 2. Although Ellison pushing up from the bottom and nearly gets into the door of the Aflac number 18 up the road. You've got the 76, the 5, the 01. Oliver Blankenford goes to trying to look for the middle. He's going to cut high.
And Thompson blocked the inside, and Thompson's going to block the inside again. Now Cole's going to get in there. They are 3 wide as they get off of 4. Finally, the drive goes to the outside. 3 wide as they enter down into turn 3 again once more.
Oh, trouble
and
behind.
action in the background.
Ellison hard into the wall. Howland's up into the air. And a big mess up in turn 3. And turn 3's been calamity corner today for car-on-car incidents.
Yeah. Yeah, big one.
That was the big one for sure right there, as we'll jump back and take a look. Watch that 45 of Jake Erickson on the inside. Looking like... Oh, he locked up! Just locked up in a 3.
That's racing here. And just watch the cars are just going to pile in the background. And there's Nate Morris.
That's another
So he won't be
chance at a
getting
lucky
himself
dog
a
he
lucky
won't
dog.
get.
Yeah.
You saw how high Howland got kicked off the ground as well, but Tommy Cook drilled him. He didn't really drill him. It's a weird way that car got up in the air.
Yep. Got up and underneath him. And update on Nate Morris is that he is done for the day.
Tough break for Nate Morris. He was looking to have a strong outing and, well, just didn't agree with him. Qualified up in, 6th place, but wasn't meant to be.
Remember, have a look at the guys that are now stuck a little bit in traffic. What happened to Gunter right there? Did he get damaged? Did he come back down the pit lane?
Might be trying to fix some damage. 40 seconds in the box. He will just make it out of pit road.
Yeah, so that's
1
damage
degree.
repairs.
Oh, we're not 1 degree, sorry.
That car looks a lot cleaner though now, particularly his right front corner. So he's now got a race car, a hot rod that he can work with. And that'll give him a lot more pace. Fastest lap of the night, by the way, 21.895. Brody Gunter as well, so he's being quick. Sort of tells you as well, what is an 815? What does an 895 sort of mean in terms of lap speed? Well, qualifying times, fastest qualifying times were 21.703 for Austin Cole. So that means they're running nearly 0.2 of a second slower, very close to 0.2 of a second slower. Why are they doing that? Looking to preserve the tires. 0.2 of a second slower for 5-6 laps. That'll immediately swing the other way, and then you're faster for the rest of the stint. But yeah, that rear end, having trouble keeping it glued. By the way, we're approaching 45 minutes. It's about a minute away to 45 minutes, which means we're past the 3rd distance marker, which I believe would be 40 minutes. And
Green flag TV, green flags in the air as we get back to it.
on Green Flag TV.
Yeah, there we go. Good save. Good save. Thank you for saving my butcher vocabulary. But double file through turns 1 and 2. One car scrapes the wall down the back straightaway.
And Brody Gunter got into it with Joshua Rutherford as well, just tagged him. There's some damaged race cars out there. Paul Ellison didn't take much damage repair. He has got a very, very bent hot rod at the moment. But looks to be still tracking reasonably straight, so he's got a car that he can work with again. And the difficult, remember what I said, don't get shuffled back into the pack. You know, all of these drivers are in different strategies at different points in time. They've had to drive their way back through the field. By the way, if we're at this pace, we are now right on getting the full race in. If we go any slower from here, we will not get the full race in. But average pace right now, we're still just good.
You see Matt Williamson looking for the outside line, trying to see if he can drive it in around the top of Alex Howland. Battles on for third as well. Jarrell Williams has got Matt DeGroat. Oh, look out! What happened there? Williams all over the shot of the front stretch and is into the wall in one.
You have to get out of the throttle. Probably got loose. Had to get out of the throttle, I'd say. I don't know, the car behind just didn't check enough.
And now he's going to get turned.
Escalating. Yeah.
And that's it. Now it's a time race.
Wow. I was talking average pace, Noel. Talking average pace.
You're talking.
if we can improve the average pace, we're gold.
Well, we'll do that eventually because we'll run out of cars to wreck.
But the big thing about the cars actually aren't getting wrecked a lot. There's not a lot of damage that's actually being exchanged, if you will. So it's not as if the cars are actually getting into it. Remember, short track, slower speeds, so the contact that hits aren't as hard. But cautions do breed cautions. Been a fair few of them. 8 and 90 laps isn't too bad. I'm going to be honest. 8 and 90 laps, not all that bad.
It's really not. There could definitely be worse, and we'll no doubt see how things are going to pan on out. For now, take ourselves with another quick step back as Crow gets the Lucky Dog free pass and run a caution for the 8th time tonight after this crash that puts Jarrell Williams into the outside wall in 3.
Here at TWRS, we're always here to help our squad when they need a little push in the right direction. That's just who we are. We're a beautifully diverse group of goofballs dedicated to driving fake race cars as fast as possible. And we continue to push each other to the front using the power of nonsense. We have one of the strongest NASCAR programs on the service, and you can access it all for $24.99 a month. And we just released individual subscriptions for $14.99 a month for each NASCAR vehicle. We also just added a Rallycross program, and our IndyCar program is taking off as well. So come join the weird side. We have speed and cookies. Cookies are not included in some locations.
Set to come back to green flag racing as the iRacing pace truck gets set to make its turn back down and into pit road. And Geeky is going to lead the way into the restart zone. We're back to green flag racing, still shy of lap 100.
Good launch once again from Josh Healy. Jumps out, but have a look at the car that's managed to find his way to P3. Matt Croak. Good opportunity for him to run up front.
Matthew Croak looking to make that lunge and trying to see if he can't find the inside of Austin Cole in the turn 1. No dice that time by. So the Kenny Hoffman Racing driver remains in lockstep for the time being, while the rest of the pack is single, almost. Here's some double. There's Matt Williamson and Brody Gunter, double wide. Into turns 3 and 4, and right now Gunter trying to rip the high side still on his recovery drive from early in the night.
Yeah, but that car looks so much better now, so he's definitely got a car that he can do something with. Interesting. Whoa, round goes the 76 machine, and that'll be the end of that could be the end of the night of a few cars. They all piled in there.
Huge hit there for Thompson and Gunter. That was brutal. pair of them.
And Brody Gunter's going to be done for the day. He has got massive camber and toe damage.
Now, was this with help from the 26 of Travis Fleming is the question, or is this a self-inflicted error from the Speed Mafia number 76? No,
he's going to get help.
Yeah, kind of came down right when Fleming tried to track up for corner exit, and round he goes.
We're going to lose 2 cars to meatball penalties right here. Curiously, Brody Gunter is not among them. Can we get a shot at his steering wheel right now?
iRacing? Are you sure?
That's not a meatball. That's not a meatball.
Sure?
Rick Thompson, meatball. Jake Erickson, meatball. Brody Gunter? No, she's cool. Let it go.
Well, I mean, he is the defending champion. They got to give him some leeway. I mean, how many wins did he get last season? They could call that his handicap.
Yeah.
Saw a couple of cars that kind of go spearing off into the inside as well. This is a look from up top. Watch that 26. Kind of gets down, clips the apron, starts to track up right into the 76. And, yeah, George did get turned by Paul Ellison there and into the inside wall.
Yeah, there'll be a few cars that'll be done from that one, so.
One driver that is not among them is Joshua Rutherford because he manages to get around it.
Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, great job. Great job. But, you know, the big thing that I note there from Rutherford was not a lot of brake. He definitely used some brake, but not a huge amount of brake. Lifting off was the big thing. Didn't touch the throttle.
Yeah, no, slowed it down. Caution was out. Just focus on getting through it and you'll be fine.
Yeah, it'll happen at some point. You will have to give up a lot of time, track position like that.
So should go 1 to green this time by for a lap 100 of 2:30 in this race, or what might not be 2:30 at the rate things are going.
So coming up on lap 100 as well. Now, if we can get 15 more laps in the next 7 minutes, we will still be able to go, and it'll be very, very tight, but we can get, if we go green from here, we're still gold.
I'm picturing you with this like big clock on your desk, and you're just kind of watching the time intently while you're doing all these frantic calculations.
No, I'm just doing the calculations. My brain is just going up. There ain't no clock in front of me. I'm just sitting here and going, no, it's about this, it's about that, it's about this. Here's some excess to be able to get anything covered off here.
Green flag is back out as the field works down to the turn numbers 1 and 2, to the back straightaway. Williams up the track, and Corey Rutherford stands behind Rene Garcia. Garcia tracks down low, and Rutherford is able to pick off the spot as he hits the front straightaway. And once again, all the side-by-side happens the further back of the field you get.
Curiously, the only car that did not come down pit lane, Austin Cole. And again, he's playing for a little bit of track position. He's expecting that. The problem for Austin is this was right near a fuel window. And the reason why I say that, 70 plus 70 is 140. That gets you back to lap 90. He pit at the end of lap 74.
So potentially Austin Cole in trouble unless he gets another lucky caution that kind of falls his way. One thing you don't want to do in a race that's had as many yellows as this is pit under green, right? Because that is effectively a death sentence for your race. You want to try to pit under the yellow flags as much as you possibly can at a track like this one. And right now, we're all still with a possibility to come down for that. But, you know, the more cars we take out of this race, the fewer chance there is of a caution. I mean, we're already out like over a quarter of the field, so he's losing opponents fast.
Yeah, he is. We're down to 12 cars in the lead lap at the moment. Just keeping an eye on Gunter's still in the lane, Ericsson's still in the lane. So meatball flags are now sorted for a few of those drivers, but yeah, she's a tricky old racetrack at the moment.
Jarrell Williams goes around the outside of Alex Howland. Howland takes that one away down low, sweeps up and picks off the move from the 24. Good show for him. Well, Matt Williamson lunges for it, and he's going to turn Williams up the track, into the wall. Cook's involved, and we got 6 in. We did not get 15.
Yeah, and we are now going to be on that hour mark, so again, average pace, the number falls away. We're no longer on that average pace to make it, Mark.
Take a look at this one as who got into who. Williamson kind of sends her in. Williams then just turns in on him. And of course, nowhere for Tommy Cook to go right behind that.
The big thing for Williamson was that he was going to trend up the track from there. So he actually he came over the radio and claimed that one, which I think is fair enough. And the big thing is it's looking at what they're doing from the cockpit. Right at that moment where the contact was triggered, yeah, the car on the outside came down a little bit, but from there on out, there's going to be Williams drifting up the track. So.
Several cars into pit road, top 5 staying out. This, among the drivers staying out is Austin Call, actually. I'm surprised that Call didn't take the chance to come down to pit road here.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. I think the big thing for me is that he's gonna end up at the back and have no real major advantage because we didn't really run far enough. But yeah, that's got me curious, we'll say.
It's right on board with Cook here. You're gonna see all this developing, and second they come together, he just locks it down, but too little too late.
Yeah, just wrong place, wrong time.
Yeah, can't do much about it.
Even if he wasn't on a controller, he's probably not saving that.
End of the day,
but
it could be worse.
Yeah. It was only a light tap on the front end, I think, is the big key.
Yeah, got into it a little bit and then kind of grazed the outside wall. No damage that hasn't been done to these cars before. No damage that can't be repairable. Ten yellows at lap 108, averaging about 5? Not quite 5. Maybe 6, 7 green flag laps of yellow. Yeah, we're running about the cautions are about 4. We're averaging about 11 laps at the moment per caution. So therefore, it's 7 laps. Yeah, about that. And this has just been changed over, by the way, to single file restarts. You know, I can't imagine why. And because of that, no passing around the no passing around the inside. You can still overtake on the outside. Hence why Austin Call and Mita goes right to the outside wall as everyone else. Green flag is back in the air.
And also worth noting, 12 cars still out and on the racetrack. Connor Dudek is still out there under that most recent caution. He went from he went from 15 laps down to 14 laps down.
You know, across the entirety of the 40, around 40 stars that we've called with this league, I can't think of a single instance in when they put it single file. I think this is a league first, which is, it's unfortunate, right? Because that's not a first you ever want to hit.
No, but the reason why it's happening is because that it's tricky to drive, and the drivers are just sending a little bit too much corner entry mid-corner. Guys are cutting down mid-corner. Richmond's one of those tracks where there's each of the corners. You get this obviously with places like Michigan, with Auto Club, where there's multiple lanes and there's crossover lanes. Kansas, Kentucky. Kentucky's a big one for the crossover style lanes. They're driving those crossover style lanes. So the problem is because everyone's moving around the track a little bit, it's quite difficult to get a read on guys. You think there's a hole, and the hole just disappears.
Joshua Rutherford and Travis Fleming are going to go side by side. So it took a few laps, but the side by side action that the action track provides is back in full force. Rutherford catches the wall. Williamson catches the wall further in the background, and that lets Croak get down the inside. Oh, sorry, no, that's Carter Dudek that got down the inside.
And remember, Dudek's on the recovery effort. He's now the lead lapped car at 14 laps down. So doing a reasonable job here.
To clarify, that was old boy Howland and Higgy getting into it a little bit. Here and around goes Howland, saves it. Barge going on there in 4.
Well, Higgy was down there, man. He was down there. He might be blinking. He might be, a little bit inconsistent, but he was definitely down there. He was there for a very long period of time. So, great job.
Getting a little rough and rowdy, and so we'll take another look back on what happened to Alex Howland. He's trying to catch the 0-2 entry, and then Kiki looks at the inside, sends her in. Howland, pinch, and eventually, well, contact's made. Good save, though.
Yeah, I mean, that's tough, tight racing. I mean, he's trying to prevent, he from getting the advantage on him, and when that happens, you're going to end up in a spot whereby, it does happen that way. It does, where you push it a little bit too hard. He's pushed him just a little bit too far, and that's the big key.
It is as they say, are you not entertained? I know I am. This racing has been good so far tonight. When we go green, it's been good racing we've had this afternoon, and we can see some of that racing as well. Tommy Cook, Paul Ellison, Matt Williamson, all starting to kind of get a little bit more friendly with one another as they make their own moves further down the field. Fleming now ready to attack Alex Howland.
So a few of these guys are going to have a crack. Starting to push their way forward. Croaky's doing a great job. I'm actually enjoying watching him have a crack at this and sitting in a really, really nice spot. But this is a challenging little section of the race now because they've got to settle it down, right? Try and get themselves to the midpoint. We've lost quite a few cars. We're down to 12 cars running on the lead lap, 13 cars running overall, so...
And critically in the middle of all this, we passed the halfway point about 5 laps ago as well. So we all... Oh, boy! Broken. Rutherford really kicking the tail end out there. But, yeah, we are into the back half of this race.
Time's starting to run out. Well, time's not starting to run out, but opportunities certainly are, and that's a big thing. But for the meantime, 110 laps left to run. 1 pit stop yet to come. Austin Cole's way out of sequence. In terms of where he's sitting, in terms of pit strategies. So he's going to need another caution. But if we get another caution from here, everyone's going to pit. Remember, 70 laps from home is about our marker. So lap 160, so he's looking for about 40 laps from now. The difficulty for him is that I don't know if he can actually get to that marker.
It's difficult, right? I mean, the marker is there, but what are you going to have to do to be able to hit that point? And I think it's a discussion that quite a few drivers are starting to think in their minds because it does look like this run is going to go long.
Yep.
If it does, well, now where do you go?
I think Austin's missed the trick. I think that most recent caution was absolutely the last time to cut. You needed to come down there. It's down to the number of cars. 100% it's down to the number of cars.
Well,
the other factor that would have influenced me, Nolan, was the fact they were talking about moving to single-file restarts, and the admin said the next caution we get will move to a single-file restart, which says in the back of my mind we're getting less cautious. So I've got to make sure I'm on the right fuel strategy. If we weren't on fuel windows, I would be doing exactly what Austin's done. He's done it quite successfully, played himself out of trouble strategically. But he carried it a little bit too far. He hasn't missed it by much, though.
Right now on board with Joshua Rutherford as he tries to run down Matthew Croak just up the road. And the work in progress racing number 64 entry continues its strong momentum drive. And And Austin Cole about to be put under fire by Hiki behind him here for the race lead.
Yeah, and he's having some connection issues, and they were just talking about it as well. He might just play nice and look to save, conserve, and run along here. So don't expect him to be too aggressive. Again, no, it's just settle time. We are coming up on the 100 lap to go marker.
100 laps to go, coming on up in about 2-3 laps time. Croak, Joshua Rutherford, one of the only other battles on the racetrack as it stands, save for the top two pairing, and these two have been playing relatively nice as well. Josh Rutherford not making any super aggressive moves. Matthew Croak just kind of running his race, parking his car relatively in the middle of the racetrack. I think that's an interesting call for him to stay in the middle line, although he is diving off of turn 2 quite well, but it is allowing for Josh Rutherford to close in as a whole.
Yeah, it's also giving a huge opportunity, and they're moving a long way up the racetrack, and I just don't think that's the right call. They're too far up to be making a huge advantage. One of these two can just get up to the bottom, park it up nice and simply. It's going to be so easy to actually plant the car on the bottom of the racetrack and just get around them. But yeah, both of them electing to run that high line. It's not where I'd be.
100 laps to go, this time by Joshua Rutherford continuing to close on the 0-2 of Croak. Croak up to the outside wall. Oh, but Rutherford steps the tail end out. That's going to cost him about 10-15 laps of progress.
Yep. He was patient. He worked his way into the right spots, and then yeah, just unfortunately didn't go his way. So, had to be a little bit more patient. But again, he's just riding too far up the track. What they're trying to do is you're right, they're trying to square off that corner exit, but a little bit too hard on the trying to square off the corner exit for my liking.
Still a long way to go in this one, though, as we can see Rutherford immediately getting right back to work, right? Trying to close up to the tail of the 0-2 of Croak, and if he can get up there and get around him, should be able to lock this one out relatively easily. But
he's got to get up there, and therein lies the big old key. So for now, it's just about making sure that he keeps making progress towards him, be a little bit patient. The rear tire's going to, run away. So be ready for that when it does happen. But at the same time, drive it up. You got to be aggressive. He's definitely quicker at the moment, and that'll be the big thing. And have a look at Croak moves back to the bottom of the track. That's where I want to see. That's probably about the better line. If you can't make it all the way to the bottom, that is where you want to be. They were running a touch too high earlier on. And again, Rutherford just shows a nose.
It's so fine, the margins right now. I think we're kind of playing mind games a little bit here. Two drivers, two very different styles of racing coming together on the racetrack, and it's a big question, right, of who's got the advantage where. Showing the nose, but did you hear that there? Rutherford actually did not stamp on the loud pedal like he normally does off of these corners. He actually feathered it and let him take it down to turn 1.
Yeah, so again, patience. That would be the biggest key right now, is just being as patient as we possibly can be. So yeah, look, I agree. This is 100% the biggest thing that you can do right now, is just sit there, be nice, drive a pretty wheel, look after those tires. And again, Austin Cole's got to lead. Now he's got to do something about this, because he's either got to start saving fuel or disappear. He can't do both.
Gap down to just half a second between Cole and Higi for the lead of the race, with under 100 laps to go, with race in action still proceeding on. Let's take a quick jump top to bottom throughout your field here this afternoon. Right now, Austin Cole leads the way with Joshua Higi down to the number 2 spot. Rene Garcia back in 3rd with Croak in 4th. Rutherford back in 5th. Howland.
Austin's coming in.
Okay,
he's short.
Here we go.
Remember what I said? That marker was 160. He's coming in. He is coming in.
Well, with the call coming in, that's going to bump Ellison and Corey Rutherford into the battle of their own up to 7th and 8th. And Tommy Cook will be up to 9th, and that'll put Matt Williamson into the top half of this field.
Yeah, so that shuffles things quite a lot. So the whole field's just about to get cycled and put into a little bit of a different time zone at the moment. So, hey, this is going to change things quite massively.
And Call guaranteed to go at least one lap down here, maybe more. This could be a race killer for that 18 machine.
Well, remember what I said, he's got a very short window to get this thing back into where it needs to be. So this has got to go green for the next 20 or so laps, get to that lap 160 marker. And these guys are going to be a touch tight on fuel. They can run through to about lap 170, 175. He needs that to happen. He needs it to go green, effectively. But he's going to have a heap of pace right now.
So the good news for Cole is he is only one lap down. So if a caution does come out, he is going to take the lucky dog. That is relying, though, on Jared Williams and Matt Williamson not being caught by Higgy, who's only a couple of car lengths behind them.
And he just took 0.6 of a second out of Jarrell Williams in the last lap, and he has got a severe amount of pace at the moment. These two are fighting, Matt Williamson and Jarrell Williams. So, Matt's coming in. Matt Williams is actually coming in.
So Matt Williamson going to be the next car to go down a lap. Call will be able to get around him without too much effort.
But that leaves him shy on fuel.
And then that will allow for Corey Rutherford and Paul Ellison to remain as one of the lone battles on the racetrack this fight for 7th on the track.
Well, who says these races aren't interesting? They'd be lying too. Again, I just think that's a missed cue from Austin Cole. Like, he had the opportunity to be on the right fuel strategy. He would have been buried in the pack, but he would have been on the right fuel strategy. The only thing that changes this is if it's not 70 laps like I was talking. If it's 65, he's okay. Because everyone else, when they come down, they won't make it from where they pit. They will be just short. They won't be able to save enough to get them. But if it is 70, he is done. Everyone will be on this 2-stop to home. But if it is one stop to home for everyone else, he is effectively right where he is right now is where he's going to be relative. So he's got to he's got half a track to go and run down Josh Higgy. Now he is taking 0.6 out of him a lap. It is a short lap. And it's only going to take him about another 20 laps or so to get himself back onto the lead lap. But yeah, it's not good. What he wants for his lap.
As well as that, we still have the time to consider as well. Now, we are on by far our longest green flag run of the race. I think we're going on, 40, 50 laps or so now. How are we looking on that time limit? Are we still good, or are we looking like we might be on the back foot still?
So what did I say before? Is 11 minutes so you're getting minute and 6 seconds by 10 is 30 laps. So 11 minutes is 30 laps. We've got about 45 or so to go at the moment. So you're going to get 4 times 120. Yeah, we're well and truly able to make the full race distance.
How about that?
Amazing what green flag running will do.
Oh, and there you see Krogh catching the wall. Josh Rutherford able to close in, and now Krogh nursing some right side damage, misses turns 3 and 4, and that lets Rutherford close in another 10.
He'll be getting a little bit frustrated. The biggest thing he can do is probably undercut him at the pit stop or run long. Give yourself a huge tire offset. Because you can tell he's fast. Oh, boy, he just slid it all the way out of 2. He just had a huge slide. So his rear is going to be super hot now.
And with all that's going on, a 3-way grudge match between Fleming, Ellison, and Corey Rutherford for 6th, 7th, and 8th. Plus 10 on the day for Travis Fleming. It's been a relatively good day for him, even though he's been caught up in a couple of incidents tonight. He is going to be overtaken here by Paul Ellison on the front stretch. Down into turn number 1. Corey Rutherford still in lockstep with this fight as well.
Austin Cole, by the way, just picked off 4th spot Joshua Rutherford. He's about to pick off Matt Croak. So He is in a great little spot. Just keep running down that race leader. That's cost him a little bit of time. Not a huge still though, but he is making some pretty good headway. And now Croak's in. So Croak is 80 laps from the end here, and he pit a caution or two before everyone else. So go and get you some numbers for Croak. But he has gone 54 laps on that run. So from my mind, he can't make it on fuel. Which means in that case, the strategy that Austin calls on is actually the best one.
Wouldn't be the first time that we're wrong, would it?
Well, it helps when you fed good data, and I was clearly not fed some good data. I was doing all my calculations based off a specific number, and when that number's not right, well, of course the calculation's going to be wrong.
You blame me for that one. But
no, that's my own research there, so I'll be firing the data analyst I was taking on that one.
Paul Ellis and Corey Rutherford, a quarter of a second between them. There you see Croak leaving pit road. Now Alex Howland has come down from fourth. So more cars down to the pits while this battle for what is now the new fourth place on the racetrack remains hot. And now Garcia's in.
More drivers, yeah, coming.
So yeah, right at the pit stop window now. We're going to be seeing everyone coming down to the next little while.
Garcia went 58 laps on that run. So that means if you can get to 60 will be 170. And I tell you what, right now Josh Healy's on a 50 lap run. And he's on lap 157. So if he can save sort of 3-4 laps worth of fuel, he can make it. But I would be saying that he would needed to have started fuel saving on this run, and I haven't seen that.
Tommy Cook, the next car to have come down to the lane, and now a bit of side-by-side as Corey Rutherford has made the move on Paul Ellison. Puts him one spot further up the field. So Rutherford made that pass on the 55.
Yep, good job. Cuts the inside. Gets it done.
Yeah, a little open up the door. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. He still is not coming in.
And if there's anyone that's fuel saving, it'll be Corey. But I'm not hearing it from him either. So if he can get to 58 laps, so the longest that we've sort of seen thus far is 58 laps. Right? He last pit at the end of 106. 58 laps from there gets him to 114, 164. We are 5 laps away from that. That would put him effectively 6 laps short. Now, if he can extend that by 3 laps on each run, he will make it. And that's what I'm looking at. If you can make 3 laps and it's a 50-odd lap run, that's still a lot of savings. So the fact that he's not saving sort of says it's not doable. So it's a two-stopper for everyone.
Kiki is starting to put in the clutch a bit more in that number 7 ESGI, or Eminent Signs and Graphics, number 7 Ford Mustang. So he does think, to some extent, that he can try and go the distance here on the fuel run. Trying to cut out the splash and go. But like you said, it's a big ask, but he has gone a good bit further than most of the other drivers have in this field.
One of the big things for Austin Cool as well, he's going to have to come a fair bit earlier, and he will be able to strap on fresh tires. So if the guys that are looking for a splash and go opt for that splash and go and take no tires, the time will be covered off by the fresh of the tires for Austin because he's going to come so much earlier than them. If it was only a couple laps and they're only going to come at the back of the race, Higgy's in. Higgy is in. He will not make it on fuel.
Josh Rutherford comes in as well. Now the fuel save guru, Corey Rutherford, making his way around the racetrack. Time to see if the number 5 has gone the distance.
So his target lap will be the end of 167. If he can get there, the race is all his.
Kiki right now is in his box. 4 tires and fuel will be the order of the day.
He just called it, by the way. He is not making it. He is coming this time.
So about 3 laps shy for Corey Rutherford, and he'll be one of the latest drivers that could go the mark. Unless Paul Ellison can try to pull off the run. Never mind.
He's in as well. Cool, that solves the fuel argument.
Yep, that is that. So right now, Austin Cole on some of the oldest tires on the racetrack, but he's got a heck of a gap from the other drivers behind him, and a lot of the field is a lap down.
This will be huge. There's a big opportunity here for Austin to put a statement on. Now his becomes the better strategy.
Scott, I think the one thing I'd be a bit worried about right now if I'm Cole is the fresh tire drivers that are on the field, in particular Higgy. Higgy pitted on 163, Cole on 139. That's what, a 24-lap difference on tires? That's not nothing.
No, I mean, yeah, there is the opportunity.
Trouble.
Well, that'll trigger a caution. That might reset the field. We only got
No
well,
yellow.
No,
It was
I was about to say we only have 5 drivers on the lead lap right now.
Yeah, well, he was right. So that, look at the right front's already destroyed here. So something big has happened to Gerald Williams' car. Let's jump back a bit further. This is the Black Ice number 24. He is fresh out of pit road, so he is just leaving the pits here. Oh, Cole Tires caught him, and caught him big.
And then he's got no steering.
Yeah, that's going to be a day over for Williams.
Yeah, so what happened right there is it actually took the right front tire off that car. I just went and had a look at his onboards, and yeah, steering wheel trace shows me there is no right front tire on that car.
Tough break, man. I mean, Williams was not having too bad of a run himself. And there you see Tommy Cook pick off his teammate, Matt Williamson. Travis Fleming looking to do the same. So Fleming's silver lining in this race. Well, yes, he's laps down. The good news is he's +7 on the day, which means it's impossible for him to finish this race without having a net gain on where he started this race.
Keeping half an eye on Alex Howland, by the way. I don't think he took tires on that most recent stop. There's a few drivers that didn't, I think, potentially. I was just looking at slow laps for Rene Garcia and Matthew Croak. They seem to have found their speed once again. So that sort of solves that argument. So
I will actually tell you that Alex Howland, 10.3 seconds in the box. Garcia, 9. So there's a slight chance that Howland maybe took 2.
I would say that's a fuel-only stop. They probably took tires earlier on in the race with all those cautions that we had. They worked them out. They shuffled themselves forward. But here's where you pay that bill.
This is Howland's pit stop here. He took left sides only. That's an interesting call. I would have thought right sides would have been the way to go, no?
Maybe he took right sides at the previous stop?
Maybe?
Or he's saving a set of rights?
Either way, it's a weird call, but we'll get the chance to see what's going to be happening here, no doubt, coming on up in just a little while. But green flag racing continues. We are on our longest green flag run, and right now, no battles to speak of on the racetrack. We'll be back in a moment on Green Flag TV.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome back to Green Flag TV. We are still in the midst of our longest green flag run of the night. If you're just tuning in, welcome to round 3 of the ASRL Xfinity Series presented by Purple Haze Auto Sports. I'm Noel Rempel alongside Scott Rankin. Austin Cole has just come down to pit road for his second and last stop of the day.
And the big thing about this one, coming early, put fresh tires on, start to make that advantage work for him. That'll be the big call. What we missed out, though, was under that period where we were running side by side. Big bit of dumping. Alex Howland got hit from behind. And remember, we were talking about Howland took left side tires. Matt Williamson is going to come in as well. He is 40 laps from home. So that's the reason these guys are coming to the lane.
Travis Fleming and Alex Howland, speaking of, right now embroidered to the battle, but will end up being the number 6 spot after they get around call, which just took place at pit road. So Alex Howland is still working around. Oh, gets a bit squirrely the off at turn 2, and because Fleming is tracking his line, followed him right around to the same mistake.
Yep, so the big key now will be make sure that you settle yourself in on that run to home. Howland, if he's got fresh tires left to him, wants to come earlier rather than later, because if he's got that extra set, I think everyone's sitting on a set of tires. The problem is, when do they take them? I think Higgy won't. I think Higgy will not take tires this time by, which would be an interesting one to just sort of contemplate, but keep that in the back of your mind.
20 race cars started this race. Out of those 20, right now, there is only 4 on the lead lap and 12 that are running on the racetrack at all. Now, again, kind of an asterisk on the 4 on the lead lap, because we did just get a couple come down to pit road, but the actual number will likely turn out to be about 5 or 6 or so when everything is said and done. But here is still this big battle. Right now, this is one of the only battles we have on the racetrack.
Yeah, and you're going to see Howland just roll out of it. Again, that's tires. He recognizes that he is not in the position to fight these guys on tires, and so he's just not going to do that.
Howling facilitates the pass. Just behind them, a developing fight for the number 3 spot here. This is Matthew Croak and Josh Rutherford. You can see Rutherford's been closing in relatively steady the last several laps, and probably closing in by about another half a tenth this time by.
Yep, so continuing to make a little bit of time. And again, there'll be a tire offset between these guys this time. About 10 laps. And remember, the last time that Rutherford caught Croak... Oh, Croak's section. No, Croak's diving in the lane. And so that was intentional.
Big cut to the inside, and Croak is going to be taken to pit road as a result with 35 laps on the clock. And a 3-way scrap between... Well, it was a 3-way scrap for a moment. Now it's kind of breaking up, but that was Austin Cole that just got around Fleming and Howland on a boatload of fresh tires.
Yep. So here it comes. Austin Cole's going to be pushing on. He's banked his tires up. He did this last time as well. Remember, banked the tires up. Gave himself an extra set so that he could use it. And now he is absolutely going to have a crack with this one.
A lot of interesting races coming on up on Green Flag TV this next week here, Scott. Of course, the big show going to be tomorrow night, where the High Tide Racing League Amateur Racing Design Premier Series closes out their season with a 150-lap trip around the Homestead Miami Speedway. 4 drivers are still in contention for a championship, and it's winner takes all. The Beer League is going to be out at the Green Hell. They're taking to the Nordschleife for the first time in that league's history 10 seasons and 3 races from the end of that 10th season, we get to see what these cars are like on the combined layout. That's going to be awesome.
That's going to be huge, yeah.
Now, the ASRL Cup Series was supposed to be racing at New Hampshire Motor Speedway on Tuesday night between those two. However, that is in jeopardy right now. No, around goes Krog. Krog spins it
That's
out.
not what we wanted to see.
And
There are 2 cars. There are 2 cars, Nolan, on the lead lap. There are 2 cars on the lead lap. Heagy and Rutherford. That's it. Joshua Rutherford's the last car on the lead lap. Just with where that fell.
Now, some cars can potentially get their laps back, like Austin Cole, if they stay out under this yellow flag, but they're not going to have that major tire advantage anymore.
No, they're not. And, yeah, I mean, it was only about 10 laps ago that Austin Cole actually did pit. But they're going to have to take way-bys here. Well, that's just handed this one to Heagy. He just now straps fresh tires on, and he's gold.
Completely self-inflicted, still getting those tires a little bit more up to temp, and just spun the tail end around on the O2 machine. Yep. That's all she wrote.
And you'll see everyone that was not going to make it will pit here. Everyone that has already made their final stops is going to stay out. And, yeah, we're gonna get a double file restart again, by the way.
I like it.
Like we were just talking that we ran well and truly more than enough to be good to go there.
But kind of getting back to we were talking about the upcoming events, right? And the Tuesday race coming on up, again, set to be in New Hampshire, but it's a tough decision, right? Because the Martinsville race was not ideal, to put it mildly. 32 yellow flags has made the league administration, they're very twitchy about going to the Magic Mile, and there's been a lot of consideration and even some community votes held about changing the racing venue potentially to a mile and a half. And I think it's now come down between the old Atlanta Motor Speedway and the Nashville Super Speedway. I mean,
both great tracks.
Yeah, but where do you fall in that, though, right? Because I mean, mid-season changes, always controversial. The High Tide Racing League was debating swapping out Martinsville Speedway after a few suboptimal short track runs themselves. They ended up keeping it, though, because they kind of came to the conclusion of, at the end of the day, you're going to have the bad races. You need to have those bad races, though, because it helps the good races shine. But you get a race like Martinsville, you go to New Hampshire right after, right? I mean, well, yes, they're different racetracks. Similarities are there. What do you make of it?
Yeah, it's one of the things in the schedules. Like, normally you space your short tracks out, and the reason for that is a couple of reasons. Number one, tempers get high. If you run high-tempered races back to back to back to back to back, what happens is it actually accelerates that feeling, which means it kicks off a lot earlier on, which means the racing is just significantly impacted by it. Number two, the problem is with the current day short track packages and the way that things are set up, the racing is just terrible. It really, really is, and Martinsville, you kind of can't really race. It's really driven by contact and everything. New Hampshire, you can actually race. I would have actually preferred to cycle them the other way around, but obviously that hasn't necessarily worked out. But at the same time, the league is just looking at things and going, we think this is in our best interest. What can we do to improve the racing? This is what we think we can do. So, hey, if they think they can make a change that improves things, go ahead and make it.
Meanwhile, the short track leagues that run like late models, modified street stocks, they're just calling us casuals when they hear that.
But
for you, it was a bad race. For us, it was Tuesday.
So,
free flight coming out this time by.
Yeah, a couple cars getting waved by. We're back to 5 cars in the lead lap. Alex Howland, first car lap down.
Double file for 2 rows, then single file the rest of the way back. The cars that are on the lead lap that had to get waving by are Garcia, Cole, and Rutherford, and a bit of loosey-goosey.
Yeah, that was Rene Garcia drifting around the top shelf. Unfortunate for him. Car's still in the pit lane. Brody Gunter's engine has now expired from that car, but it looks like it's back to other than the engine, so he probably could have rolled back out there. Austin Cole's going to cut his way through.
Joshua Rutherford picking up the race lead off of turn 4 from Joshua Heagy. So Rutherford puts that work in progress. Number 64 on point this afternoon. And this would be big. I'm not positive. I'm going to check, but I don't believe Joshua Rutherford has gotten a win yet. on Sunday night. So this would be, he has gotten 5 wins. So Higi's gotten it, no, that's Higi, sorry. No, Josh Rutherford, no wins so far. 6 top 5s though. And this will be a big night for him if he could get that work in progress 64 into victory lane for the first time this season with 37 starts, the second most starts of any driver in the league.
Alex Hallen just had a big slide off of 2. He got himself up to, he was sitting in between Rutherford and Higi, and he'd actually got himself up there, and he was actually starting to look like he might track down and earn his lap back, which, you know, at this time, but the big difference right now is that if I'm in Josh Rutherford's shoes, look at the margin that I've got. I'm now backing every corner way down, and the reason for that is, it's quite clear to me that Joshua Higi has no sets of tires left. Rene Garcia just took fresh tires. And then everyone else took tires a while ago. So he's out to a 2-second lead, a couple laps after a restart. Hang on to those tires, save them as much as you possibly can. Because if you get a yellow, you don't want to burn everything you've got off, because Austin is going to be running you down like you wouldn't believe.
And correct me if I'm wrong here as well, but provided this race does not go into overtime, as we see Garcia get around Higi for second.
Yeah.
But yeah, provided this race does not go to overtime, no matter what happens, this race is now finishing on laps if we don't go to overtime.
We've got 15 minutes to get this race in. We have got 19 laps. Provided we don't run a minute a lap, we're gold.
And Josh Mahiki losing out more time. Austin Cole cuts the inside. He's going to pick up a podium while Alex Howling is fighting it out with Travis Fleming.
The big key was to have tires left over at the right point in time. Just give me an eye. I think I might have found where some of the instability is in the way that the drivers are actually driving the car. I'm just seeing sparks fly off the right. You know how there is a little protection plate on the bottom of the right rear suspension arm? On the cage, on the bottom of the cage. I'm just seeing sparks from a couple of cars as they transition off of turn 2. So I think the car is actually bottoming out. It's actually lifting the rear tires off the ground just a touch.
Would that be something that we could see from the interior of the cars?
No, you'd have to watch it sort of from this angle, from that back angle off of 2. And the big car that I was seeing it off the most of was, it was Joshua Higi. So I'm wondering whether or not it might be internet related as well. It could be, is my concern.
See what we can see from the spotter stand. Don't think we're going to be able to see much, though.
Oh, it might just be Higi. But that suspension arm is really, really low to the track. If you have a look under the right rear corner of the car, you can actually see the white suspension arms. We get a shot where it'll show the rear of the car. You can really see it.
Right here, you're going to get a good one.
Yeah. But if you have a look, there's a white bar. And
right
there's a little plate on it. Yeah, at the bottom end of it. That plate's just a protector plate. It's designed to effectively rub on the ground. If the car's going to bottom out, it hits that point. And the reason for that is you don't want your cage to be taking the brunt of that impact and scrubbing away and wearing away at the cage material. So it's actually designed as a, sort of a skid plate. So, but yeah, it looks like the different angles on the racetrack are actually doing that a little bit. And the other thing to consider is it's got a touch cooler out there in the air and a touch cooler on the racetrack. Cooler temperatures mean lower tire pressures, which means that it actually governs how high the car sits off the ground. So this could be a late night thing as we've transitioned into the nighttime.
Hello, Tommy Cook trying to Chastain the wall in 3 and 4 there. Didn't quite work out. Was taking a hybrid of the Larson and the Chastain lines, and neither of them worked out for him.
Now remember, that was a guy that said, I'm going to start and park. And he's still here 216 laps later.
He can come out with a top 10 as well.
Yeah, he is going to. So that has worked out well for him.
Meanwhile, the battle for 8th, Ellison and Williamson still have been side by side for about 5 laps now. They are still in a grudge match with each other. They just cannot agree on who's going to take this spot. I think finally Paul Ellison, nope. I thought Ellison was going to take it around the outside, but Williamson just sends her into turn 3, trying to get something working, and Ellison's going to miss the bottom, and that will finally give Matt Williamson the spot.
Yeah, now he'll get it on the road and see what he can do. Rene Garcia is now 2 seconds back off the lead, but he's been taking a 10th out of this race lead. The problem for him, there's 12 laps left to run. It's going to be 11 laps to run as he passes the stripe. He needs to be 0.2 of a second faster if he's going to catch. Or we need to see a mistake from Rutherford. And again, remember what I was talking about? Just manage your race. So if I'm in Rutherford's shoes, I'm looking at that gap and I'm just going, okay. Margins, it's out back to, I mean, Higi's now 6 seconds back. But as soon as that margin to Higi got out to 2 seconds, I'm saving those tires as much as I can. There is literally no reason to drive the wheels off this race car. Well, if he had have saved those tires, now is where you start to use them back up again. And the reason for that is you just want to build that margin. If he can go neutral for about 3 laps here, there is no way that Garcia can catch him barring a mistake.
Joshua Rutherford in an extensive career with the Sunday Night Series has gotten quite a few podiums, right? He has taken podiums at Daytona, Irish Silver Speedway, the Charlotte Motor Speedway Oval, and the Darlington Raceway. His best chance at a win, though, was in the May 18th race at the Richmond Raceway. This very, very track, he was 9 seconds off of Joshua Higi, who had taken the run in that race. That was a 200-lapper in the first ever season the ASRL had run. That was the closest he's gotten to a win so far in this championship, and, well, wouldn't it be something to take the one track where he got a second, wouldn't it be something to finally tick off with an option to win column as well?
Well, I'll tell you what, remember how I said he just needed to go neutral? He's gone neutral. That margin is now down to 7 laps. And the margin is now up to about 2.5 tenths that Rene Garcia is going to take, and Rutherford's out of fuel. The other Rutherford, one of them winning, one of them not making it.
Specifically, Paul Ellison is in as well. They were staying out, they were gambling, hoping that they would get a caution flag to save them, and it didn't come. Now they're back to square one.
Yeah, well, they had to take the wave by. Because if they hadn't taken the wave by, they would have been last, and then you just sort of go in a fuel save mode. There's not much more they could have done there, but tough night, very, very tough night.
Garcia continuing to close in the gap for the leader. Last lap by, gained a 10th and a half. It is closing relatively quickly. 1.5 seconds between the two. It's closing, but it's not closing nearly fast enough.
No, and the big key now is that there's 4 laps to go, but look at where Ellison fed back out on the racetrack, right ahead of Rene Garcia. That is not what he would have wanted. And Ellison just said to Rene, go to the inside in turn 1 and 2. So he is very aware of his position on the racetrack. So this time by the stripe, it's going to be 3 laps to go. That margin is about 1.5 seconds. Well, now you need to take half a second lap. It's not doable from here. Josh, just lock it in, keep it glued, don't make a mistake, you're gold. You can underdrive that car like you wouldn't believe.
Corey Rutherford going to take 1 spot away from Tommy Cook as well, at least get himself 1 more spot into the 8th place position before this race is over. But Joshua Rutherford looking for win 1 of his ASRL career, and this is looking to be a special, special day for the work in progress crew.
Yeah, Austin Cole didn't have, he took the wave by, so his tires are fairly used up. And what a difference it makes. Just having that 1 set of fresher tires. He's going to come around and grab that white flag, and this will be his first white flag in his career. Some drivers settle at this point because they get the white flag, they know that there's not going to be a green-white checker. Some get more nervous, and we're going to get the opportunity to ask him which of the 2 he is.
Final lap, Joshua Rutherford has gotten 37 starts before tonight. Out of those, 25 is in the top 10. Out of those, 6 of those he was in the top 5s, and out of those, 5 he was on the podium. Tonight, it is his first ever win in the American Sim Racing League and their Sunday Night Oval Series.
Yeah, great job. Put himself in the right spot at the right time, on the right strategy, was patient. He didn't follow. Remember that car that was just ahead of him when that pit cycle started? And that was the car that triggered the caution. He had the opportunity to go for the undercut on Croquet, didn't take it. And that's the reason why he's a winner tonight.
An absolutely massive drive for him. He is going to be loving this, and he is going to be celebrating like there's no tomorrow on the front straightaway. It's not every day you get your first win, but it's always one you remember.
Yeah, he's going to remember that one. And I just heard his brother actually just say it. Corey Rutherford just said that is his first ever league win anywhere. So this is going to be a big celebration tonight.
Wow. Holy cow, that is That is something special, right? I mean, that now it's definitely not a win he's going to forget, and took that in convincing fashion too. He has gotten 47 starts across his iRacing career in league sessions, at least according to his Sim Racer Hub stats, right? 47 starts is something in the Sim Racing League, and now you can see him burning it down with Paul Ellison on the front straightaway. Ellison giving his own congratulations. It has been a tumultuous drive. 342 starts in total across every discipline except the dirt road category. And win number one comes in his 343rd.
Yeah, you never forget your first. You never, ever forget your first. This is one that he will remember for a very, very long time.
So many second place finishes, 5 second place finishes, 6 second place finishes, sorry, prior to this. This is about his 11th podium in that entire time as well. So he doesn't get up here often, but boy, when you do, it is not something that you are going to forget. So Joshua Rutherford takes his main win this afternoon. An absolutely stellar drive for him, and we'll get the chance to talk to a jubilant driver in just a little while. For now, your post-race results after round number 3 of the ASRL Xfinity Series presented by Purple Haze Autosports. Joshua Rutherford takes win number 1 of his league racing career with Rene Garcia 1.4 seconds off the mark. Austin Hall finishes 3rd to round out the podium. We'll talk to all of them in just a moment. Then it's Hickey in 4th, and Howland closes out the top 5, 1 lap down, along with Fleming, Williamson, Rutherford, Cook, and Krog.
Sometimes you got to be a little bit lucky, and the guys that were unlucky here tonight, Paul Ellison rejoins 3 laps down when his fuel strategy didn't work out. Connor Dudek got back from, I believe, 16 laps down, got back to 14 laps down, just couldn't get any further than that. From here on out, we get to the retirements. Jarrell William, Brody Gunter, Jake Erickson, Rick Thompson, Carson George, Nate Morris, Fred Thompson, and Casey Campbell round out your 20.
And, well, that is going to do it this afternoon. What an incredible drive that we had for the Richmond Raceway. Got a little rocky of a start, but we end up coming home and putting on an absolutely fantastic drive. Let's take a rundown now and give a chat to the drivers here that take home the race wins at the end of the night. And we'll look to, of course, bring up first and foremost Joshua Rutherford. And, well, Josh, this is not something that you're going to forget anytime soon. You never forget your first win. 342 starts before tonight across leagues on iRacing, and in your 343rd, you can finally say you're a race winner.
I don't know what to say. Everything fell out exactly the way I was hoping it would, and first time ever. I've been on iRacing for a good 7 years now. First time ever.
It's definitely something to behold. I can't imagine what must be going through your head. You were second most spots gained on the day. You qualified back in 13th. Talk about the drive of the journey that sees you to victory lane this afternoon.
A lot of it was basically just making sure I hit my marks and don't over throttle it coming out of the corners, because this car had a tendency to try to snap on you. But I had Brody and Paul coaching me on for the entire second half of that race, and that helped me a ton.
And, well, you've gotten a few second places in this league already. We look forward to the rest of the season, though. Do you reckon you might even be able to find yourself with a second win on the boards before the end of the season?
Crazy things happen. You never know until they do.
Well, Joshua, we wish you the best of luck. Congratulations on your stellar drive this afternoon, and congratulations on your first ever league win on iRacing.
All right, thank you. But I said before you boot me, I would like to thank Purple Haze Autosports, TWRS, everyone at Green Flag TV. You and Scott put on amazing broadcasts. I watch them every single time I'm racing. Eminent Signs and Graphics, CJR Graphics, Dun Fumble Productions, and then Mullet Music Productions. I have it all over my car. It's my music. I'm on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, any place you find music, come listen to me. And then everyone in my driver's chat between Brody, Nate, my brother Corey, Paul. I had one of my friends, Sam, join at the last minute. And then a big thank you to my dad, my brother, my mom, who watches just about every single race. I can't say thank you enough for all of this. This will be one to remember forever.
Joshua Rutherford comes home number 1 this afternoon, and no other driver is going to ever be able to take that away from him, Scott. It was a stellar drive for him. Let's bring up Rene Garcia, the driver that comes home 1.4 seconds back. He's your runner-up this afternoon.
Yeah, congratulations, Renee. A little bit of a different race here tonight, not a straightforward one. Strategy played a huge part in that one, and I get the feeling everyone's sitting there scratching their heads a bit at the tail end going, well, that wasn't the way I planned that.
Yeah, it was interesting. I'm not sure what Joshua was doing there, if he had tires or not, but he played it perfect. It worked out so good for him. I have fresh tires there at the end. I saved a tire set during the green stop cycle. And when I lapped that one, I got a little worried. I was like, oh man, that's it. It's over. Caution came out at the perfect time. I got the lucky dog and lined up towards the back, which is not too bad. Killed a lot of tire moving forward from there and passing everyone. I just didn't have enough to get to Joshua, but overall, I figure a top 5 would have been good for me, but you know what? I'll take P2 any day.
I think quite a difficult race here tonight, because when you look at it up and down the field, there was a lot of chaos that sort of happened in pretty much everywhere you look. It was not an easy race to predict. At the same time, not an easy race to look after your car. I believe you got involved in a couple wrecks there as well. And, you know, that early running, what's it about keeping your headspace pointing in the right direction?
Yeah, Scott. The beginning was pretty crazy. The first wreck that I avoided, I thought I never touched anyone, but instead I had wheel damage. I ended up coming in and I had like 48 seconds, something like that, of damage. But you know, at the beginning, I was just trying to stay calm, just go with the flow and race the race. You know how it comes. I got lucky, avoided a lot of incidents, and once everything cleared out and it got weeded out, the race played out pretty good. And I was hoping for that caution at the end, so I'm happy I got it. It helped my strategy, but you know, it was the beginning. It was just staying clean. That's the whole goal: staying clean, race hard, and stay clean.
Finally, mate, who would you like to give a shout out to? And thank you for getting it done for you.
Oh yeah, for sure. You guys, yourself, Nolan, ASRL, Brody. Congrats to Joshua for winning. All the admins, my family, my wife, my kids for letting me sit here and put them to the side for a few hours. My teammates, of course, you know, Jarrell, Alex, Joshua, Nick, Travis, Jake, everyone. Eminent Science and Graphics, ESGI, custom graphics for anyone, whoever needs them, let us know. But yeah, thank you guys, I really appreciate it.
So that was Rene Garcia coming home number 2 this afternoon. But sorry to cut you off there, Scott. End of the day, it's always a good drive. We got third place standing by as well. The Texas Independent Racing driver Austin Call comes home third this afternoon. Austin, you started on pole and you kind of took the gamble by going out of the field a little bit under a few cautions. Looking like that race is going to go your way, and then the yellow comes out.
Yeah, that sucked a lot. I think I had the fastest car, like just straight pace, maybe other than Brody. And then pretty much set myself up perfectly for strategy and just get on the wrong side of the coin flip. So, sucks.
End of the day, you still come home third, though, at the end of this one. So it was still a solid recovery drive from you. You're able to survive most of the early race chaos with minimal damage to your Aflac number 18. Overall, walk us through your journey tonight and your general mood at the end of this one.
I mean, obviously, it hurts to lose, but top 3, especially with Brody not having a great day. I don't know what happened to him. And then Matt not showing up today. It should put me at a pretty good spot in points. I think, what's his name? Sorry. Joshua's going to be in front of me still, but I think I should be able to set myself up for second or third in points. Other than that, I was just trying to save as many tires as possible for the end. Unfortunately, just took my last set in an inopportune time, and not much I could really do at the end.
Well, next week, it's always a new day, and next week's race, it is the first of 2 road course races on the season. We swing back to Daytona to the NASCAR road course for 40 laps. What do you reckon is going to be in store for this number 18 car when we go back to Daytona?
Well, I mean, hopefully it's a victory, because I love the road courses in the stock cars. Always been really good on the road courses in these cars, so hopefully I can come out with a win or at least the top 3 finish.
All right, Austin, congratulations on taking third this afternoon despite some of the late race struggles. Congratulations on that podium, and we'll see you next week in Florida.
All right, thank you.
Oscar comes home third this afternoon, and Scott, that brings us to the end of our podium drivers and to the end of our program this afternoon. We got, of course, it was Circuit of the, not Circuit of the Americas, sorry. We got, of course,
Daytona.
Thank you, Daytona coming on. I just came from watching Dakota race into the other server, so my mind is scrambled. But, Daytona's up next. It's the NASCAR road course. ASRL went there as well. They took the regular road course, but that NASCAR road course throws an extra little kink in the works, right? That front stretch temporary chicane. Again, some drivers hate it. Some drivers love it. It does open up another passing opportunity technically, but it's always going to be interesting to see how that's going to come on coming off of NASCAR 4.
Yeah, for sure. I kind of like, look, to be perfectly honest, it's weird because I think the second chicane at Charlotte needs to be replaced and give us a longer run on the way down into turn 1 and 2. But at Daytona, the run down to turn 1 and turn 2 is really, really long, and it gives you another opportunity to try and get the overtake done, try and set somebody up for turn 1 as well. So it's challenging. Another area for little bits and pieces of mistakes to creep in, and that's the big thing. Mistakes can and will creep in if you're not careful. So it's going to be a good run. But yeah, I think the big thing, I actually had my mic muted. I was going through a whole spiel, and then I heard you talking, Nolan, and I'm like, damn, I had my mic muted because that was a really, really good conversation.
I was wondering where you were.
But the big thing that I would take out of tonight for a lot of drivers is that there was an opportunity to finish here, and a lot of guys shoving noses in, but at the same time, a lot of guys turning down. And it was just weird up and down, not reading the lanes correctly. It was just a weird race all around. So read those, take a lesson from it, and see how it goes.
Next week, when we go racing at the Daytona International Speedway, is going to be for the road course. Before we get to all of that, though, we've still got more action coming up for you on Green Flag TV. Tomorrow night, the High Tide Racing League closes out season number 3 of the Premier Series. 4 drivers enter the ring with a winner-takes-all grudge match on Homestead Miami Speedway. The OMS World Cup Series tentatively going to New Hampshire Motor Speedway on Tuesday afternoon. Might be going to either Atlanta, though, or the National Super Speedway. We'll keep you posted on information on that on our community tab. And then, of course, the Beer League swings out to the Green Hell for the first time in league history at 9:20 p.m. Eastern Time on Wednesday night, with the Speed Cup Series out to Phoenix on Thursday and SRA taken to North Wilkesboro Speedway over on Saturday night. For now, that's all the time we got for one afternoon. If you want to find out more about who we are and what we can offer you, check us out today at www.greenflagtv.com. My name is Will Rempel alongside Scott Rankin. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you next week in the Sunshine State.